Hey everyone, I'm Adam, this is Does It Hold Up, and I was going to make a review for the movie Challengers, but instead I thought I'd do a review for a movie that came out on Netflix this past weekend, written by and directed by Jerry Seinfeld, called Unfrosted. Let's talk about this piece of shit. Unfrosted is the story of how Kellogg's created Pop-Tarts. Well, at least it sort of is. I don't know, this movie is a hodgepodge, complete fucking mess of absolutely nothing. This movie revolves around Jerry Seinfeld, who plays a character named Bob, who is basically a high up at Kellogg who helps create new product, or get new product rolling, or help the old product keep getting bought. It's really unclear who this character actually is. He works for a man named Edsel Kellogg, one of the Kellogg family, played by a wonderful Jim Gaffigan, and his partner in crime is played by Melissa McCarthy, or known in the movie as Stan. Their whole job is to beat Post, their rival breakfast company, who is trying to get to the market with a morning pastry that can basically change how breakfast is looked at. Okay, that actually sounds really interesting. The story of Pop-Tarts and how they were created, and the fact that there was like this entire race to get Pop-Tarts or to get this breakfast pastry on shelves before the competition sounds like a really interesting idea. Think space race, but with breakfast food. Who wouldn't want to watch that? I know I would want to watch it, but what I don't want to watch is a horrible Jerry Seinfeld stand-up skit stretched out into an hour and a half. And that's exactly what Unfrosted is. Is it a satire about these types of movies, about this corporate espionage and competition? Maybe. Is it this movie about overcoming adversity and really pushing the forefront of your company to better itself? Maybe. Is it a movie that's one long-running unfunny joke that they keep harping on over and over and over and over again until you are so bored with it that you'd rather stick a drill in your ear than listen to another moment of this movie? Ding, 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 ding. That's exactly what this movie is. This movie came around because Jerry Seinfeld, many years ago, decided to write up a stand-up routine bit about Pop-Tarts because he is obsessed with breakfast foods. And then he took that one singular joke and made it into a full-length movie. But nothing about this movie works, except for one very specific thing. The fact that Jerry Seinfeld apparently has blackmailed dirt on a huge number of comedians who volunteered to be a part of this movie even after reading the script. I don't understand for the life of me how this movie was greenlit. It 100% reaffirms the idea that Netflix does not care about quality, only about quantity and getting some big names on their platform. Because Jerry Seinfeld, as we know, is one of the biggest names of comedy to basically ever exist. I, for one, don't think he's funny. I've never thought he was funny. I think the Seinfeld show is pretty garbage, but I understand why people like it. But to give this man money to make a movie this bad should be a criminal act. Anybody who greenlit this should probably be fired immediately. How many times can you say, hey, I created this brand new food or this drink or whatever, and oh, that's got some great blank to it. That's what we'll call it. It's the same joke. At one point, Melissa McCarthy's character invents a new orange drink to send to space while she's working for NASA, and when Jerry Seinfeld tries it, he says, that's got some great tang to it. Yep, it was Tang. They created Tang. Ha 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 ha. Super funny, right? Yeah, that's what this entire movie is. It's that kind of joke played out for an hour and a half. It is so far beyond absurd that I'm not even sure what level of cringy unfunniness it gets to. But Imagine sitting in an audience watching a comedian die after every single joke because nobody laughs, and then going back and watching that same exact show the next night, hoping something changed. That's every scene in this movie. You keep waiting for something funny to happen, but just nothing happens. Not even anything funny, just nothing happens. Nothing interesting, nothing entertaining, nothing remotely worth your time will ever happen in this movie. And yet, somehow it got made. And I honestly do not understand it. Maybe you liked this movie. And maybe in the comments below you can explain to me why this movie worked for you. Because I don't think this movie works for anyone. It's literally just a bunch of comedians reading what are possibly the worst jokes ever and waiting for laughter that will never come. Now, the story of inventing Pop-Tarts actually sounds amazing. We've gotten a lot of that lately in Hollywood, where it's like the invention of Tetris, the invention of BlackBerry. We've gotten 2 Steve Jobs movies about the invention of Apple and the iPhone and all this other stuff. So why wouldn't we want something, a breakfast bar pastry movie? I mean, Pop-Tarts have been a household name for decades now. I'm sure everybody watching this video has had a Pop-Tart at some point in their life. The idea that there was this whole back and forth with 2 companies as they tried to create the same exact food at the same time would be really interesting. But just not this. For the love of God, not this. Nothing about this movie. The direction is terrible. Jerry Seinfeld is the star of this movie, and he's a bad actor. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you love the show. He's not the best part of that show. He is awful in front of the camera, and he's just as bad behind it. It feels like every actor there was there because, well, it's Jerry Seinfeld. He's a billionaire comedian. Why would I not want to be on his good side? Nobody actually had faith in this movie. They just wanted to be a part of it to say they were a part of it. And it really shows on camera. And the script is one of the worst scripts I've ever listened to, I've ever watched in my life. Last year, I said that right here on this channel, I reviewed The Marvels and said it was an F movie. It was such a bad movie. Then I also reviewed a movie called Next Goal Wins. And that was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. And I can sit here right now and in all honesty tell you, I would rather watch either one of those movies 1,000 times in a row than watching even one clip from this movie ever again. Nothing about it worked. And it's embarrassing that that movie was hyped and promoted the way that it was. Netflix should be ashamed of themselves. Every single person. Christian Slater is in this movie. Peter Dinklage is in this movie. John Hamm is in this movie. Those are big names. These are people that are good actors. They've been in great movies. Why would they subject themselves to this? I just don't get it. I don't get this movie. I don't know who it was made for or why it was made. There's nothing there. It lacks so much substance that it's basically the equivalent of eating a Pop-Tart. Yeah, there's something there. You're doing something, but there's no nutritional value. There's no substance. It's just eating blank. And this movie was that. Just watching nothing. So my recommendation, avoid this movie at all costs. If Netflix even recommends this movie to you, delete your entire account, open up a brand new one, and hope to God they don't recommend it to you again. I cannot stress enough how bad this movie is. All right, that's it for me reviewing Unfrosted, the worst movie I've seen in easily 20 years. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this movie, if you've even heard of this movie. Until next time, remember to be good to yourself, be kind to others, and as always, keep watching movies, as long as it's not this one.